their reduced rating.
Okay, all right, got that. Ekta, thanks very much for putting it in perspective. Divi is under lots of pressure today. Well, the next company that we're focusing on is Tata Power. Well, last week was all about the COP26 headlines and, of course, all the new, the thrust being given to new and clean energy. The other talk point was the one sun, one world grid concept that was spoken about. So what do these big announcements mean in terms of immediate opportunity and the trajectory ahead? Well, let's ask Mr. Praveer Sinha, Managing Director and CEO at Tata Power. Mr. Sinha, season's greetings. Thank you very much for joining in. So we do want to talk to you about the overarching theme that came out of COP26. But before that, I must ask you a more immediate question that got everybody excited. On the discom side and bidding for more transmission and distribution assets, Tata Power's name came up in a report with respect to, I think, the UP Transco. Could you share anything that's possible at this point in time? Are you indeed looking at this and other such assets?
Good morning and season's greeting to all of you. I think transmission was one area that we were there very strong. In fact, way back in 2002-03, we did a joint venture with Power Grid and set up the transmission line from Bhutan to Delhi. But subsequently, we did not go very strong on transmission. We were concentrating more on transmission in Mumbai city. But last year, we took a call that we will aggressively pitch for transmission. There is space. There has been a lot of shakeout that has happened in the transmission space. And a company with our experience has great opportunity. And that's where, through the Resurgent platform, we had bid for 2 projects in UP. And now, fortunately, we are successful in this project. And hopefully, we should be in a position to now take it forward. Not only these 2 projects, but many more which will come up for bidding, especially the green corridor that the government is talking about. We'll actively participate in that.
Okay, that's really interesting. And that's why a quick follow-up on this, sir. Transmission alone, I'm not talking about the discoms, but transmission alone, how much does that contribute to your revenue now? And how do you see that pie changing as you speak of this green corridor?
Well, the transmission right now is not very big. We have just between transmission and distribution, it's about 30% of our revenue. But going forward, we expect that this will increase to 40% because we are not growing in our conventional generation. So our transmission, distribution, and then the renewable portfolio are the 2 big areas that we would grow. And also some of the new businesses such as the EV and the home automation. So going forward, the thrust will be in these 2 areas, and transmission will play a very, very critical role in the overall growth of Tata Power.
Okay, Mr. Sinha, good morning. I want to also ask you about what you made of the announcements made at COP26. And from a company standpoint, how do you think Tata Power can benefit over the next couple of years?
I think very big announcements have been made in COP26. And I think going forward, there are a lot of other things which will happen in this week, which is the second week of COP26. And it's all moving in the right direction. I think the promise that country will become zero carbon by 2070, 50% of our energy will come by 2030 from renewable. I think these are very, very big announcements and great opportunity. Of course, when you talk about these type of things, it's not just about the investment, but also how you can have a market leadership in terms of technology, how we can come up with solutions which are 24/7 electricity through renewable sources, whether it is for cities or companies. And I think that's where Tata Power will benefit because we have a huge edge over all the others in terms of technology understanding and also a huge amount of innovation that we are carrying out. And we feel that this is a great opportunity for growth for Tata Power.
So can you help us with some near-term numbers? What is the kind of investment that Tata Power will be making in the renewable energy space? Just trying to understand, this one sun, one world, one grid call from Prime Minister Modi. What does it mean? I mean, of course, in the longer term, we do know that it's an overall thrust to renewable energy. But in the very medium term, what kind of numbers are we looking at from your end?
Well, now this is a new concept whereby the sun is always there in some part of the world, and how we can interconnect the grids, which can ensure the benefit of sun rays in producing electricity. The details are still being worked out. International Solar Alliance is working on this, and but what I can tell you is that there will be huge hybrid solutions of solar, wind, and also the transmission, whereby we interlink different countries and provide. So there are countries which have some time or the other sun, and how do we take the benefit of that and leverage it to provide to other areas where there is evening time or night time. Similarly, the wind speeds are there in different parts of the world, and how we can again leverage that to supply electricity. So I think it's conceptually a great idea. We need to work on this, and I think India itself has a great opportunity, not only for producing renewable power for itself, but also going to the nearby countries, the SAARC countries. We can talk about Bhutan, we can talk about Nepal, Bangladesh, and some of the others, Sri Lanka. So some of the other countries which are very close to India, I think we can play a very, very active role.
Mr. Sinha, just to sort of talk about the overall business, I mean, month of October, we kept hearing about the coal shortage issue and pressure on existing thermal plants, the spike in input costs, etc. On the thermal generation side, what is the situation right now? I think Mundra, now you're anyway supplying. If you could give us an update.
So the last 1 week, because of Diwali, the consumption patterns have been low. And that is why today we have adequate generation of thermal coal plants. Mundra, of course, is generating and is supplying to the states of Gujarat and Rajasthan and Punjab. And some of the other imported coal plants have also started operating. So I think the pressure that we had about a month back, where we had very few days of coal in the generating plants, that has eased a lot. We definitely have now plants with some quantity of coal, but I think as the winter steps in, we will see that the demand will go down, and we will have adequate reserves of coal in all the plants. So I think we should be out of this challenge that we had been about a month back.
Okay, so just to come back to the starting point, since we started talking about transmission assets and how that's going to become a big sort of foray for Tata Power going forward, can you leave us with a game plan, sir, in terms of investments on this side, and how would you look at it? Would you be bidding for other transmission assets across the country? Just some more clarity on this, since this is going to be a focus area for the company.
So we will definitely be bidding for a large number of assets. I mentioned to you that if renewable has to get enhanced in the country, it's important that along with that, the transmission facility also gets enhanced at the same pace. And I think Government of India has come up with very aggressive plans of adding transmission capacities right through the country, so that the renewable power, whatever is generated, can be taken across the country. Similarly, we will be doing aggressive investment in our transmission facilities in Mumbai. We've been adding nearly 500 to 600 crores of assets every year in Mumbai, so that our transmission system in Mumbai becomes very robust, and we can continue to supply power to our consumers in Mumbai. So I think going forward, we do expect large amount of investment, and as you know, these are most of them are either regulated or through bid routes. So we expect that we will be able to succeed and give very good performance in the coming years.
All right, Mr. Sinha, we leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining us and talking about the whole host of opportunities that Tata Power does have in the near future. Renewable energy, there's a thrust on new energy, as you just heard, of course, the electric vehicle charging infrastructure, etc. Lot happening for Tata Power. But let's slip into a short break. On the other side of the break, George Alexander Muthu, the Managing Director at Muthoot Finance, will join in to discuss their Q2 earnings.